Hi everyone, today I'd like to show you how to make these cute bee cupcake toppers. So to begin with, I cut out some white discs of the modelling paste and I just put that aside to dry, and this is what we're going to build our bees on. So firstly, I've got about 7 grams of black modelling paste. I've kneaded till pliable. I'm going to form it into a ball and then into a cone shape. So there's your cone shape. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my fingers to go about 1/3 of the way down and just roll between my fingers to create a little neck shape. And then we're just going to make that pointed end a bit more pointed, so we've got a little stinger. And then once you've got that shape, you can pop it onto your mat and then just play with it to make sure it's a similar shape on both sides. You can flatten it slightly because obviously this is how you're going to see your bee from above. So I'm just flattening the front there a little bit, top of his head, and just making sure that it's all even on both sides. And you can see here I decided just to curve the stinger a little bit to give him a little bit of character. Okay, so now I'm going to start doing the stripes, and I've coloured some white modelling paste lemon with Colour Mill food colours. I'm just going to form that into a tube shape, and then I'm going to use my rolling pin to roll it out. There we go. So I'm going to roll it out quite finely. And then I'm just going to use a knife to cut that in half. And then I'm just going to use a larger knife to cut out my stripes. I'm using a larger knife because you can do it all in one motion and you're not going to pull your paste and stretch it, and you should get a nice straight edge. So it all depends on how wide you want your stripes to be. So obviously I want the yellow to be wider than the black. So I'm just going to cut out some stripes. They're probably about 4 millimeters thick. And I'm just going to make sure that the other one is the same width. And just so you know, I'll leave a link to everything that I use in this tutorial, including all of the colours that I use, in the description so you can take a closer look later. Okay, so I've got my stripes cut out and I'm just going to pop them where I want them to go. And then I'm just going to trim that off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of clear alcohol, or you could use an edible glue if you preferred, on the underside, and then I'm just going to pop that into position and gently curve it around the body of the bee. And then I'm just going to see where I want the next one to be. You see, I want the black stripe to be a little bit thinner than the yellow. So I'm just going to pop that one into position. And then finally, I'm going to do the last one. Add a little bit of clear alcohol and then pop that into position just above the stinger. So that one, I'll take a little bit of moulding because obviously it's a lot thinner part of the body. And then once I've got that into position, I'm just going to get a knife just to trim the sides. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a dry brush just to tuck those under the ends there so you can't see them. And then I'm going to pick up my bee and I'm going to use my dry brush just to straighten any lines that might not be in the correct position at the side there, which you can see some of it closer together. So I'm just going to use my brush just to help even that all out. You may need a little bit of extra glue just to secure the ends of the yellow stripes. Okay, so now I'm just going to paint a little bit of my clear alcohol in between the yellow there. Because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll some small pieces of black modelling paste into a little tube, and then I'm just going to slot that into those gaps we've got there that I've just added the clear alcohol to. So if you do find this tutorial useful, please do give it a thumbs up as it really helps my channel. Thank you. So you just keep rolling it until it's thin enough to fit into your gap. And then once you've done that one, you can do the other one. Okay, so once you've got them into position, just want to gently flatten them with your fingers so they become the same depth as the yellow, and then just trim with a knife. And there we go. So you can neaten off any edges if you need to. And now we're going to make the wings. So I'm just needing some white modelling paste till pliable, and then I'm just going to roll it out very finely with my rolling pin. And this is where you see modelling paste really works. You can roll it really finely because it's stronger than just normal sugar paste. I'm just going to leave that a few seconds to air dry, and then I'm going to turn it over, make sure it moves on my board before using a heart plunger cutter. I'll show you how it works. You press in, you move around to get a clean cut, and then you can just press out from the top and it'll pop out. I'll show you that again. And then just press out. Lovely. Okay, so here I'm just got my wings on a foam pad, and I'm just going to press at the side there at an angle with a toothpick, and you can see it makes some lines. And then if I do it in the middle, it'll like bow your wing up a little bit. I hope you can see that. So it's important to do the sides first and then the middle last, because the middle one is the one that lifts it up at the sides. And there you can see you've got your wing. And we're able to do this because we're using the modelling paste, and it's a lot stronger form of paste. Okay, so I'm just going to pop them to one side to dry, and I'm just going to use the toothpick to also create some little holes at the top of the head there. And all I'm going to do is take a small ball of black modelling paste, and then I'm just going to form it into like a teardrop shape. And you want to make sure you get roughly the same size balls, so then your teardrops will be the same shape. So what we're making here are the antennas. And there we go. So once you're happy, just pop a little bit of glue or clear alcohol into those little holes you've made, and then pop these into the holes. And because this is modelling paste, again, it's stronger and it'll just hold its shape. So you can shape these how you like them. I'm just going to have them sticking out, whereas the first one I made, and I'll show you that later, I had them a little curved a little bit. Okay, so now the wings have set a little bit. They're a little bit hard, so they're not going to flop. So we're just going to add a little bit of glue to the back there, and then pop these wings into position. And there we go. Okay, so before I put my bee onto my disc, I just want to show you how I made the hexagons. And for this I coloured some modelling paste with mango colour mill. And I used a hexagon shape from an FMM tappet cutter. So just knead your paste till pliable, form it into a tube, and that way you make the most of the shape of your paste. And then just roll it out until it's very, very thin. And then the best thing to do is just wait a couple of minutes for your paste to dry, flip it over, and make sure it moves on the board before you try and cut out your shape. So you just press it down, move it around, and then tap it out. I'm just going to show you that again, and tap it out. So it's a good idea to cut out all your shapes and then let them dry before you put them on your disc, because then you aren't going to distort the shape when you stick them into position. So all you can do is just pop them to where you want them to go. I like to put them over the edge a little bit. So decide on your pattern. Make sure you've got room to put your bee on, obviously. So I'm just checking I've got enough room there. Again, I like the bee just to protrude over the disc a little bit. And then once I'm happy, I'm just going to use a little bit of my clear alcohol again to stick the hexagons into position. And once you've got them all stuck into position, if you need to move them, just dry off your brush, and your brush can go in between them and also straighten them if you need to. So now I'm just going to stick my bee into position. Just tweak it until you're happy. I think I'm just going to move him down a little bit. And there we go. So to make the little digit lines, I use my fractal brush pen, and I just gently drew my lines coming away from the stinger. And there we go. And then I thought I'd just add a couple more hexagons on the other side. So you can just see here on my first bee, my stinger is straight, but my antennas are curved. So you can do what you like to give your bee some individual character. Okay, so that's the end of your tutorial. Please do check out my other ones. Please comment, like and subscribe for more, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.